How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. And this is my guy, my mid-major sleeper. I'm planting my flag on Drake guard Bennett Stirtz, whose most impressive thing is his command of pace and control with the ball. So many times on this channel I complain about young guards not being able to take this extra dribble right here that Stirtz takes so he can get all the way to the rim and finish strong. And on a play like this, he's going to manipulate the drop big with his timing and the extra dribble right here. Drop big, probably thinks Stirtz is picking up the ball earlier than he actually is. This little fake right here, extra dribble. Stirtz loves the pocket pass, but he's one of the most interesting players in all of college basketball to me. We're going to talk about Bennett Stirtz, and Drake is a team you're going to see in March Madness. They're going to have a chance to make a run, and if they do, it'll be because of Bennett Stirtz. So let's talk about Bennett Stirtz. If you're excited for this video, if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff would be so appreciated. And his command of pace is crazy because Drake has him on the ball all the time. He is Drake's offense. Constantly, he's re-screening, using screens again. Great job just scooping here with his inside hand. And because defenders fear his ability to pass right here, Stirtz just gets that wide open little scoop. And I'm going to start with a ridiculous stat here. Bennett Stirtz plays 98.7% of Drake's minutes. That is the highest minute share of any player in the last 20 years, since 2008. That is crazy. He almost never sits and is pretty much always on the ball. He's run almost 700 pick and rolls this year, according to Synergy, and you can see why when he has the kind of feel and pacing we see here. Constantly using rescreens. Stirtz isn't much of an off-dribble shooter. We're going to talk about his concerns throughout the video. This is something I do worry about at the next level, is Stirtz's ability to just rip these shots right here against under coverage. But Stirtz is great using the rescreen. He's patient, and beautiful wraparound right here. Initially fakes this pass, doesn't throw it, wraps it around the double team to his big man for a wide open dunk right there. And you see the kind of ridiculous defensive attention that Stirtz sees. This is one of the things that gives me optimism about its translation, because I don't think it's going to happen as often in the NBA, where 1, 2, 3 defenders collapse on him, 5 are near the paint, and he's still able to make that great laydown and find his man for an open layup. Defenses sell out like crazy to stop Stirtz, and he's able to punish them with his excellent off-ball movement and passing right here. Great job backdoor cutting. Defender steps up. Stirtz simply drops it off to his big man again. He creates so many wide open layups for his teammates, which is such a valuable thing. And Drake runs a really cool offense. Ben McCollum is an amazing coach. This is a very like NBA style action with this Spain pick and roll and then a guy sinking in the corner. And Drake's bigs aren't shooters, right? They have a lot of small non-shooting bigs. So instead of traditionally like spacing to the corner like this player would do, Stirtz drives, draws the help, but because he's right here in front of the basket, they have a point guard in Bennett Stirtz who's always going to make that right pass and really is just a brilliant decision maker, as Stirtz just thrives with cutters around the rim, right? Again, a situation where Stirtz has his big man rolling into space, the tagger steps up, and then his teammate cuts back door. And Stirtz is always going to have the vision to wait and be patient and find his man. So his playmaking is phenomenal, and Stirtz is a great pocket passer. He loves the pocket pass. He throws it with his right and left hand. You see the lefty bounce here, and he throws his pocket passes really early a lot of the time. And I think the reason for that is because of his teammates. He doesn't have tall centers. His centers are like 6'7", 6'8", and therefore Stirtz could put pressure on the big right here and just throw it to him, but his big man right here, number 6, is much more advantageous using his speed to go to the rim and beat Coleman Hawkins to his spot rather than trying to just go up with brute force. And Stirtz is really good playing to the strengths of his team, understanding the skill sets of his players, which of course is really important. Throwing these awesome, like, his deliveries are so great. He's so good. And look at him fake the pocket pass initially. This is a high-level play. Stirtz faking the pocket pass right here. This is a pocket pass there every single time. No, Stirtz throws the dribble out, fakes it, and then throws the pass. This time, the defensive big is so deep right here that his man has a wide-open running start, finishes with his left hand. Like, Stirtz's little movements and manipulative body language, ball fakes, opens up plays for his teammates all the time. And he had so many of these tight window passes where this is a shot for 99% of players. And I do have some worries about Stirtz's scoring aggression, where I think in the NBA plays like this could get him in trouble. But you can see Stirtz is looking at the rim, but there's this tiny passing window to his big man that he drops it through and finds him in a crazy tight window. Like, this is a wildly ambitious pass from Bennett Stirtz off of a live dribble, and he's able to find his big for an open shot. This is what Bennett Stirtz does. He's constantly finding and creating wide open shots, and we see him using the rescreen here. This time we see more pacing and, again, kind of like up fakes here, almost like he's going to pass into this window, right? The big man shoots over there because Stirtz fakes that window, but really Stirtz is aiming to wrap it around for the easy layup. So you can see all the ways he wins as a playmaker, how creative his deliveries are. He's a great passer over the top as well. Stirtz is just such a skilled player, and the ability to blend ball handling and playmaking is really impressive. And a lot of Sturtz's turnovers to me are like not so egregious, where he's trying a very tight window pass right here, and this is kind of like a 50-50 ball that the defender makes a play on, so it's a turnover on the stat sheet, but overall not something that's so concerning. And then just like attempting these ambitious passes where Stirtz does not have a lot of NBA caliber athletes on his team, but this is a great play. Two defenders hedge out. This one defender is defending two. He steps up to the big, so Stirtz simply lobs it behind him. Pretty solid pass. Just this guy is not nearly athletic enough to go up and get it. The way that Stirtz is defended is so crazy. Like, teams are almost always hedging him out or blitzing against Stirtz because of his level of threat. He does try to thread this needle right here. It gets stolen, but I think that the spacing is good to point out here, right? In the NBA, you're not usually going to have a big ceiling in the lane with your roll man right here, which allows this guy to defend 2v1 and get the steal. But Stirtz certainly can try some ill-advised passes. But I want you to pay attention again to the way that Kansas State is defending Stirtz right here. This corner, like, look at Coleman Hawkins just sitting in the middle of the defense, guarding nobody, waiting for Stirtz to drive, just because of how threatening of a player he is. Coleman Hawkins closes out right here. Stirtz is going to end up turning the ball over here, trying to make something happen. And I do think there are moments where his lack of great, like, athletic tools and size can limit him, but it's so crazy the extent to which defenses sell out to him. But this is going to be the concern, right, is Stirtz really relies on his craft and his size to score. I think Stirtz is a decently bursty athlete. He's just not very, like, he's very stiff, and I don't think he's that fluid. But play like this, 1v1, shot clock running down, Stirtz trying to get to his spot, ends up stepping through, and that's a makeable shot for Stirtz for sure. But I definitely always worry about players who aren't able to generate easy looks for themselves in the half court, and that's definitely a worry I have with Stirtz, where he's able to get to the rim, and his rim pressure numbers are excellent. He's a great finisher, gets to the rim a lot in the half court, but a lot of those shots are ultimately contested. And you see moments like this where he's switched out onto a big man towards the end of the shot clock, and Stirtz isn't able to break him down off the dribble. He loves to, like, pick up and pivot and step through, and I get it because he's very skilled, and Stirtz can win this way, but it's not the most consistent thing in the world. But part of why I'm confident in Stirtz getting over this limitation is because of how great he is of a pull-up mid-range shooter, where you can see Stirtz, again, isn't able to generate an easy drive. I don't think he's that fluid right here. Looks like he's kind of losing the ball, and there is a big man clogging his spacing, but beautiful little fadeaway right there for Stirtz. He's gotten so good this year, like getting to his pull-up two-pointer, using his size and his handle to, like, a little spin move into a floater right there. It's just a nasty, creative scorer that I do think is going to serve him well. Like, he's really good off of runners, and he's great off of dribble handoffs, where he doesn't have to create an advantage all by himself, right? He can use the screen and the movement to get downhill and then drop in a little floater, because Stirtz is pretty strong and does have excellent touch to get to his spots. And he has enough burst to beat switches usually. I showed those clips earlier of him not being able to, but when he doesn't have to, like, create east-west separation with his handle, which is where he really struggles, he can just burst by a guy. He has solid enough acceleration and is able to finish right there. So the first step isn't necessarily my main athletic concern, but here's like a classic Drake possession where they're hard double teaming Stirtz because he is the one threat. The possession completely stalls. They're not able to get anything else, and Stirtz bails them out at the last second, or not the last second here, but just a beautiful little sidestep mid-range jumper there. Whatever Sturtz's next team is, not going to rely on him nearly as much as Drake did. And though he's not the most dynamic, shifty ball handler, his control and pacing really stand out. Like, great job dribbling under this defender's hand right here and finishing with the inside scoop right there. He's got some left-hand stuff, but he definitely prefers to finish with his right hand, which is not something I worry about too much. And another example of Sturtz being able to win downhill with his acceleration here. He's kind of being forced to the basket, where this player ghosting out causes a little bit of confusion, but Stirtz has enough speed to get there, finishes in traffic right there. As you can see, he's not like the most vertically explosive guy in the world, but that touch is phenomenal. Dropping that ball in right there. I do think Stirtz with his touch and craft, going to be a viable way to win, and because of how smart he is, I do think that helps as well. There's a left-handed shot, but notice Stirtz earlier in this possession struggling to create an isolation right here. He gets a bit of a step, but this is what I mean by Stirtz being stiff. He's very upright. He doesn't have the bend to keep his leverage and generate an advantage to the rim, but Stirtz uses the screen again and again. He pulls out a big on a switch and is able to get to the rim, switch hands in midair, finish with his left hand. So there's the lefty finish from Bennett Stirtz. And then there's the shooting, which Stirtz's shooting isn't horrible or anything if we look at the stats, right? 38% from 3 on 7.8 threes per 100. But I do think his shooting projection is a little more concerning than the stats show, just because of how often teams can go under him, and he's not always willing and able to make these under pull-up threes. Good rebound there. And teams won't always guard him a ton off the ball, and he doesn't have a ton of catch-and-shoot volume. Doesn't look particularly smooth always on these catch-and-shoot attempts either. But I went back and looked at some of his tape from Northwest Missouri State where he played before Drake, and this is from 2 years ago when he shot more off the ball, and there were some good flashes of Stirtz coming off of movement, hitting these threes, and I think that there were more of these in rhythm off the catch threes back there. This is a great no-dip three, beautiful shot here from Stirtz, catching the ball above his head, keeping it there, and driving it into the basket. So that's the potential optimism right there, and Stirtz has really kind of improved as a pull-up shooter as the season has gone on. When switches back off of him, he's more willing to hit these hang dribble pull-ups and splash it over a big man's face. And here's a great example of the defense going under and Stirtz punishing them for it, which is going to be what he needs to do if Stirtz is going to play on ball in the NBA, which I think he has a chance to if the shooting is really good. And here's a great one, nearly from the Ford logo right here against the switching defense. Stirtz is able to hit that, and then he pulled out this beautiful little, I believe this is a step back right here. Whew. Look at Stirtz dribbling out. This is, oh yeah, I forgot. This technically didn't count. This was after the shot clock, but oh my goodness, man. I think Stirtz has the ridiculous touch to where I'll bet on him improving as a shooter, where he'll just make these ridiculous off-balance, one-leg floating threes that I do think showcase some, a real level of touch, even if you're not going to be shooting those often. And great step back three from nearly NBA range there. And then we have Stirtz in the clutch, stopping on a dime, pulling up for three right there. So there's enough shooting stuff for me to bet on, but Stirtz really has high level traits in his pacing, his control, and his feel for the game as a passer. He's a pretty good defender too as well, and I think when he doesn't have a huge offensive load, it's going to be more good defense from him. He's not getting really any NBA buzz, but I think if he has a good tournament, that will change. There are some people on draft Twitter who really like Stirtz, think he's a lottery pick. I'm not necessarily that high because I think the athletic limitations in terms of getting downhill are real, but he's just such a skilled and talented player who I think will fit really well off the ball because of his high feel, especially if the shooting improves. So let me know what you think about Stirtz and you thought about this video, and I hope you all have a nice day.